Okay, so let's talk about push reporting and broadcast emails. That is the purpose of our speed learning subject at the moment. So what we're going to go through, we're going to do an overview. I'm going to give you a demonstration of how to set up and push reports from your instance of Uninet. We'll go through different scenarios of where push reporting may be beneficial. And at the end of the slideshow, there will be a list of references to our Knowledge Center that will help you further along. So overview, how do we email a scheduled report? Push reporting is a way to take a standard report in Uninet and push it on a schedule to users that you define. We do this using a broadcast email in the email reminders. And the benefit of doing this is to eliminate those requests we get for the same report over and over again. Where this can be very beneficial is if you have standing meetings with certain groups of people who require the same information on a weekly, monthly, daily basis. The other major benefit of doing this is that you, as the administrator, get to define the report and create it in such a way that you know the users are getting the information that you want them to get on the schedule that you want them to have it, so there can be no discrepancy, no one telling you they didn't get it or that their information was different. So how we go about doing this is, first, we set up the report, we promote that report to a dashboard, we copy that unique URL that's created, we then go to our admin setup, we create a new broadcast reminder, and then we go in and schedule it like we would any other reminder in Uninet. So I'm going to navigate away from my presentation at the moment, and let's go in to our demo and see how this is done in real time. So this is my demo. The first thing we're going to do in this instance, I'm going to use a schedule details report. It's a fairly common report. So from our reports dashboard, I'm going to scroll down and I'm going to click on our schedule details. And I'm going to create a schedule details report for the current quarter. Now, one thing you do want to keep in mind when you create almost any shared report in Uninet, you always want to try to use a dynamic date range, meaning current quarter, previous year, last week, as opposed to using a static date range, because as we all know, every time you rerun that report, you're only going to get that date range that you first created. So I'm going to use our current quarter, and I'm going to include the entire budget, and I'm just going to leave the rest of these selections alone. So first, let me run the report just to make sure we have some data out there, and we do. Okay, and the next step is we're going to save the shared criteria. Again, only administrators have the ability to save shared criteria. Users may save criteria, administrators can save shared criteria, which means they are available for other users to add to their dashboard. So once we click on the Save Shared Criteria, it's going to ask us to name this report. So I'm just going to name this Push Report Project Schedule Details and save it. So now we have a Save Shared Criteria. The next step is we need to promote this report to a dashboard. Doesn't matter which dashboard you use. In my scenario, I'm going to use my home dashboard. And the way we promote reports to our shared reports is to click the little gears. This is new in release 11. It used to be a config in parentheses, but now we have these gears. So I'm going to click the gears. I'm going to go over here to my shared reports. I'm going to find that report that I just created. And I'm going to add it to my dashboard and hit save. Now, if I go back to my home dashboard, I will see this report under my shared reports. And it's down here under push report, project schedule details. Now, this is very important. This is not the end of the line here. What we need to do is we need to run this report from the dashboard after we promote it. By doing that, it creates a unique URL. And the way you can determine that is it has this S underscore, meaning it's a shared report. If you were just to run this from your project dashboard, you would not see this S underscore. That's very important. So now we have our report, I've run it, I have this unique URL that I need, I'm going to copy it. And the next step is we're going to create that broadcast email that pushes this report out to our users. So from there, we go to our admin setup. We'll go down to our miscellaneous email reminders. And I'm going to create a new reminder using the broadcast type. I'm going to call this a weekly schedule details. The subject here, this is going to be the actual subject line in the email that your users or your audience receives. So for this, I'm just going to use the same weekly schedule details. Description is not required, but I'll put one in anyway. So this is our push report, and this does not appear anywhere but other than in your configuration for the broadcast email. So this is a push report of schedule details, current quarter. In the message here, this is where you can put the body or text of the email that you want your audience to receive. So we'll make it nice and easy. Here is your current quarter schedule details report. And then in the body of the email, we're going to paste that URL, okay? And then we save. So now we have created our broadcast email. The final step is to schedule it. And to do that, again, from our admin dashboard, we go to reminders. We select the reminder type, and here's the one we just created, the weekly schedule details. And here's where you get to define your audience. So you can set it up to go to individual people. You can have it sent to special approval groups or employee types. Now, one thing I should mention with push reports, just like any other shared report, the report itself is going to be role or roles based. So you don't have to worry about accidentally pushing a report to someone who wouldn't ordinarily have access to that report. The worst case scenario, they're going to get an email to a link, and if they click on it, it'll just say no data. Now, the other thing you may have noticed, in my example, I created a schedule details report, but I did not filter it on individual people. I selected everyone. So by sending this broadcast email to all people, if someone receives it who is only a timesheet user or has very minimal access or roles in the system, and they click on that report, they're only going to see the report or the data that they have access to. So in most users' instance, they're only going to see their own schedule details, whereas a manager may see the schedule details for their team. That's important to remember. So it's even though I did not filter my criteria, the person receiving the link is only going to see the data that they have access to. So in this instance, I'm going to send it to all people. If you ever want to preview who your audience is after you've made some filters, you can always click that preview button and you can see who is going to receive this email. Okay, and you can uncheck people from here as well. Hit cancel. So the next step is schedule it. So this is my weekly schedule details. So I'm going to schedule this weekly. And as is the case with all reminders, we need to give it a name. Weekly schedule details. I'll just give it the same description. Okay, and it's going to ask us when we want to start sending it. So we'll start today. We'll give it no end date, which means it will run in perpetuity. The time we want it to go out, I don't like to wake people up while they're sleeping. I like to sleep in, so we'll say 9 a.m. and we'll send it Monday morning. So every Monday at 9 a.m., this email will go out with a link to the current schedule details for the current quarter. And we hit save. And now you can see this is scheduled to run on 5/13 at 9 a.m. So let's go back to our PowerPoint. We'll skip ahead here. So what does that email look like that the recipient is going to get? It'll look something very similar to this, although I realize I changed that wording. So the body of the email is just going to be the URL to the report. There's no attachment. There's no static report. It's simply the URL with, again, the S underscore, which makes it a shared report. And the recipient can simply click through and see their report from there. So where might this be most beneficial? These are some of the instances that I see people using push reports a lot. For the executives, you can have it scheduled to send them a balance sheet or an income statement on the frequency of your choosing. Project managers like this functionality a lot because you can send them their AR aging for their clients, their billing and revenue summary, project cost summary. Again, with the AR aging or any of these reports, actually, if you are using a smart organization access configuration in your system, remember that the recipient is only ever going to see the data that they would ordinarily have access to. So you don't have to worry about filtering a report or creating multiple push reports. You can do it all with one. Performance utilization reports are always great to send. Accrual details, people always like to see that, although we know they have access to it on their time dashboard. A timely email to give them that information at their fingertips is always appreciated. And the schedule details, which we just saw. All great examples of where you can use a push report. And then these are the links to the Knowledge Center, which will give you step-by-step instructions of what we just laid out, including screenshots and other possible examples of where you can use these. And that wraps up push reports. I hope you enjoyed this presentation and happy push reporting. Thank you.